Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Fun with Flame. I'm your host, Danieltheflame, and I saw Extraction 2020, the Netflix film. Why am I calling it that? Because when looking up this film, I found out that there's like 4 to 3 other movies that are called Extraction. So, great name choice, and off to a hell of a start. Let's get into this. This movie is okay, but I'm not happy about it. Now, before I get into why what I truly feel, I would like to start off in saying that this movie has fantastic action. The action scenes are incredible. They do wonderful. They go in with they have nice camera angles. They get that real tight up and close stuff while showing you know guns going off in people's faces and a lot of wonderful choreography and things like that. So really reminiscent of John Wick, more detailed military setting, and a lot of creative gun work and whatnot. So it really alone, the action itself let's warrants a watch for this movie. So even if you want to know exactly story and whatnot and all that stuff, that's not necessary. It really isn't. I'm gonna get into how I feel about that, but realistically, you can watch this movie just for the action and be okay with it because of the action. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people are gonna let a lot of stuff fly in the movie because it has such good, wonderful scripted action scenes and whatnot. And it's like that. That's totally fine. That's totally cool. It honestly, I enjoyed it when they did get to it, and they have a lot of action scenes in the movie. So fantastic. It was great. It was great on that aspect. So like you could stop listening to me right now and then go watch the movie, and trust me, it's actually worth it. Now let's get into the nitty gritty. The movie itself to me immediately kind of like threw me off immediately as the premise of the movie continuously reminded me a lot of Sicario 2. Um, if you haven't seen that movie, then basically these movies play out almost similar in the aspect of you got a character that's basically doing a job that involves a crime boss's child, and then in the wake of it involving said child, they're then told to ditch the child. The job went bad, ditch the kid to save yourself, and then the person's like, because of past life issues where they lost a child, they're like, well, I'm not gonna abandon a kid just cause you tell me to. Like, it's an innocent child. They were born in this world. They didn't ask for it, And so then they risk their lives to try and save this kid. Ultimately, almost wind up dying simply because of it. And so it like literally they achieved their goal, but in the process at what cost? And ultimately that's exactly what happens in Extraction. And so while watching the movie, I was put off a lot because the story was taking place like that, and I was just sitting there the entire time going like, "This is Sicario 2." And then it didn't help either that I don't really care for Sicario 2. It's an okay movie, like really okay. Something to watch if you've seen and liked some of the people from the first Sicario, but it wasn't anything to run home about. The first Sicario was amazing. I went out and bought that movie. I really liked that movie. Didn't expect anything from it, and it turns out it was great. So when I saw two, needless to say, it was slightly disappointed. And then seeing this movie that kind of copies that story structure, it was like I'm already not. There's nothing to write home about. It wasn't really that big of a deal. It wasn't that impressive. So but again, the action was so good in this movie. Like the action was well enough to where it was like, all right, I'm gonna push through this. I know how this is going to end. I know how this is going to play out, and so I'm gonna just push through this. But oddly enough, the movie is based off of a book, so don't don't know if that's a, you know, that's something someone needs to look into. Some copying going on, copy and paste stuff. I don't know, or just be coincidental, because that for damn sure happens a lot more time than people think. So, so the movie itself was just the storyline and everything was, but I would say the biggest gripe about what was going on with the storyline was exactly uh, how they were portraying and doing certain aspects and certain things to where it was just like it's cool that like just like the storyline, the outline of the entire story itself to me being reminiscent of Sicario 2 was fine. But when it got to the predictable moments where I was just like, oh, I know exactly what's going to happen, just simply because the movie is being, uh, just the direction the movie was going was just so obvious that it was going to be this over that, and it was like, oh hell no. When the guy from Stranger Things showed up, I just went, he's gonna betray Thor or Chris Hemsworth. I'm being mean, but I was like, he's gonna betray Chris Hemsworth, and that's another thing. I feel like this movie is a movie that was done well enough for Chris Hemsworth to start being on his own. Something that was mentioned to me by a friend, which I was like, I agree with, was the fact that this movie he's finally like talking in his Australian accent. He's speaking the way how he normally talks, so that way you don't have to hear the Thor voice every time, which you don't need him to do. It's totally fine for him to speak in his authentic accent, and honestly, his lines come across a hell of a lot more authentic when he does that. With Thor, he had to act all stoicy like that, so to try and have him be that way in other movies, just it comes off wrong. So it's like when he's trying to do a fake accent or anything like that, but when he's speaking with him, it's natural, and like his acting skills like greatly benefit from when he does that. So you got to see that when him just speaking and then like the lines coming out clear and whatnot, and it's like he's not trying to be or act campy like how Thor is, which is the character that he's mostly known for. So it was like seeing him be him, cussing the whole nine, being like portraying this badass ex-marine, like this mercenary type guy. Fantastic, fantastic. So real kudos with him on that. But as soon as they introduced the guy from Stranger Things, who's like blowing up with whatever now, he's going to be in the Black Widow movie. And then as soon as they introduced him, I was like, yeah, he's gonna betray Chris Hemsworth. He's gonna betray him. This is gonna be that typical. Yeah, I'm actually secretly working for the guy that's hunting the kid. Now you have to fight me. And Chris Hemsworth, I trust him. I know him. But it's like, what? You're part of the bad guys now? How could you do this to me? I trusted you. It's just, tells those times. So it's just really dumb to see that be played out. The fact that they introduced his character just for that to happen and then he dies, it was like that was a waste of potential because he's actually a fairly good actor. And weirdly enough, this is the same thing that happened when he was introduced in that Sleepless movie with Jamie Foxx, which was just a bad movie. But again, he's just like he kind of like be typecast sometimes in bigger movies to where it's like he has to portray someone who like he has that look and that comic-y uncle feel, where it's like you can trust him, but do you know him? And it's like you feel like you can trust him, but realistically, you don't know this man. So, and it's like he has that look, but it's like to typecast him in that role was messed up. Honestly, it would have been better to give it that feel that he's sitting there warning Chris Hemsworth, like just like in the beginning when they were having that discussion, that's what I thought was going to take place. I was like, I was like, this would make such a better movie if all he did was really try to warn him as to not try to help this kid. And then in the wake of feeling like he needs to help Chris Hemsworth, he jumps into the fray for a little bit rather than outwardly just openly betraying him. But I kind of swung that he was going to betray him. The fact that it showed him driving in the car, him listening to Indian rap music, and I was like, yeah, he's fine here. Like he lives here. He's in the thick of it. So I was like, if he's in the thick of it, and the fact that this city is basically being ran by this crime boss, and I was like, and he's a part of this place, he's probably being run by the crime boss also. And I was like, that's the typical cliche thing to happen, and I didn't want it to happen, but it did happen. So you can understand that I was just like, ugh. But again, to me, it would have been a much better scene or a much better portrayal of his character if they had him warn Chris Hemsworth, like, hey, like when he was like, that kid's a walking corpse. The best thing you could do is just put a bullet in his head and just go on your merry way. And it was like, they are going to kill this kid. It doesn't matter what you do. And then break down the concept and the aspect of exactly what all they were doing. If they were to get into, just it's semantics, but essentially it's something that could have been portrayed because they didn't do it in Sicario 2, and honestly, it would have just been another thing to add on that would have made a hell of a lot of sense. And it's like, well, you're going around killing people for this kid, because you feel a sense of protecting them because that's just what you want to do. But at the same time, like he's the son of a drug kingpin. Like he's the son of a criminal, a well known criminal who, even to the kid's own volition, he states like, he's sitting down with his father thinking like, he killed somebody else's father today, and it would make me sick. But it's like that doesn't clear you of anything. And it's like, yeah, you're an innocent kid in the situation, but it's still like, yeah, you're just like you're just part of this world, dude. And it's like, yeah, you're born in it and you don't want nothing to do with it, but hey, it's part of your world. There's nothing you can do about it. Like much like with other people, it might be born into a crackhead family. Like, yeah, you got to deal with them stealing money so they can go and buy crack. But that's just the world you were born into. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You don't appreciate it or like it. And it's like, yeah, you're not associated with crackheads, but this is the life that you have to live. How do you break away and escape from that? That's all on you, dude. So it it was like to have that, and then like it would have been fantastic if they brought up the fact that Chris Hemsworth was going around murdering people. He also had that run in with a bunch of kids, and then it was like, yeah, you're willing to damn near almost fight and kill kids, or the fact that this other crime boss has kids a part of this world and whatnot, and it's like you have to fight all these kids and whatnot. And did you ever think like they don't want to try and come after you, but they have to in order for them to survive because they're working for this guy who controls the city that they live in and they're poor. It just some duality or conflict of interest to where it's just not just cut and dry, straight shooting type of movie. And it's like it would have been nice to have that little added layer of meaning to the movie to where it's just with Chris Hemsworth just stipulates and states that I might not be able to save everybody, but I feel like it's to save this kid is the right thing to do, or I really need to do this because it's the right thing to do. It's not even about the money, the meaning, or my safety. This kid needs to be protected. Just something to add on to that. And then if they would have did more for the kid character development, that would have been better. He barely got any type of lines or anything like that during the movie because again the movie does have a large amount of action scenes, so it's like that's dope and everything, but to have him just kind of he just kind of be there, and then just kind of gave him like a little seldom opal of wisdom at one point when he was like, you drown, it's not because you fell into the river but because you stay submerged in it. Now I was like, they could this instead of him trying to give some wise words that like have meaning right now. Wouldn't it be better if they just had a like a regular conversation to show more camaraderie behind them, to let Chris Hemsworth know like he's still just a kid. Like moments that would just let you know and identify that this is just a kid. Like at the end of the day, this is just a kid. So me trying to save him is completely justified because it's just a kid. He doesn't need to go through this because again, he's born into this world. He didn't choose it. And it's like, and it's not right that he has to go through this because he's just a kid. Even the fact, like the kid mentioned in the beginning, you see me like my father does, like a thing, not an actual person. And then so you have development in the movie that can justify that statement. Like, yeah, he is a person. He has his own likes, dislikes, and things like that. The best thing that I know is that he liked to play the piano, and his dad hated that, but he only did it when he was nervous. And then I was like, that was kind of, it was weird to state that he only does it when he plays the piano when he's nervous. But it's something that his dad hates, so he likes to play the piano. I, I would have just liked it if it was like, it was just something that he just, like, I do this, to, I do this to keep me calm. My father hates it. And, like, and it's like, and that just made me want to do it even more. And it was like, so I really enjoy playing the piano because it calms me down. Like, it relaxes me. It chills me out. Even though like my father can't stand it. So it just more than just more to the dialogue that gave him, his own type of personality and character. Rather than just he was just kind of just there and he appeared there. And then at the end of the movie they had him trying to do like emotional breakout moments and whatnot, and again, I felt nothing while watching it because they didn't give anything to his character throughout the movie. They just had him just kind of sullenly talk about like, you know, my life, your life, life. Oh, and I was like, this doesn't make me emotionally attached to this kid. It's like realistically, only the reason I care for him to get saved is because of the fact that he's a kid. They kind of did more on Sicario 2 with the girl that was trying to be saved. Um, Simply because they gave her and the guy trying to save her a hell of a lot more chances and times to speak and talk to each other. So that's something that they really could have did a lot more with this movie. But I feel like they cared more to showcase their action than they did to make the story something of a memorable masterpiece for this movie. So that's whatever. They had a lot of scenes that just kind of like was there and kind of made no sense for different reasons. Where it was just like a random scene where it was like, what was the importance of this, or what does this mean or represent, and things like that. Where it was like, it really had no other representation other than the fact that it just happened, and then if at the end of the movie or at all during the movie that scene had any justification, and it really didn't. It never did. Um, Another thing that was weird is at the end of the movie, the guy that was basically stipulated and showcased to be the bad guy, which was the crime boss that did kidnap the kid, rather than the crime boss that's in jail who has the kid, to showcase that basically he's evil. Had him killing kids in the beginning, like they was throwing him off of a roof, and I was like, yeah, that was pretty hardcore. Um, and then at the end of the movie, he was the one who was murdered, um, which I felt was kind of off. And it's like it's something that that was shown and whatnot. But it's like, did we also forget the fact that the job itself was done perfectly? He kidnapped the kid because he could. Um, had a chance to. He could. Kid got kidnapped. Um, then it was like a ransom job or whatnot. Then you send these mercenaries in who saved the kid, and then they were about to take him to the drop off point and whatnot. Now they explained in the movie that they didn't have the money to pay the mercenaries for this crazy job because of how much they were asking for and everything. And so then the the family, the crime family that basically the kid is from, decided to kill the mercenaries after they picked up the kid and then steal him back without paying nobody. So so then it's like, when it would have had a far, I would have liked it if more of a conclusion was done as to the retaliation against them, because they're the ones that killed the mercenaries and their crew and everything. To where it was like, yeah, it makes sense that someone would feel some type of way about their people getting got because the job went bad because you guys didn't want to pay up. So some type of retaliation towards that would have been warranted. I would have enjoyed seeing that. I felt like it would have sent a clear message to, even if you did kill the boss of one crime, the one crime boss, the fact that they did something to the other crime boss just as well. I felt like that should have been something that they should have showcased in the movie, and it's just is something I would have wanted, because it's just like it was just left open. Like, nah, they're okay. Yeah, he got his son back. Like, all right. Or at least show, like, he paid the rest of the money or something. Just something, some type of concrete conclusion would have been fantastic for that. Another thing was in the spam of the way how the movie just kind of had this uh, chain pulling direction signaling thing, where it's like you kind of knew what the hell was going to happen before it was going to happen, was something that I felt was terrible, and they really should have thought differently about it. Was the music in this movie? The score in the background set the tone and the pacing for a lot of the scenes, and the fact that it was steady with how the scenes were portraying ruined how a lot of the scenes actually turned out. Moments that could have been like a twist or actiony or something that basically was to catch you off guard. I don't know why people don't learn from this. Do not need a string quartet orchestra thing playing to where you're keeping like a key, like holding on to a note for a long period of time, and then you just drop it. And it's like, as soon as it gets to that apex where it's like, I know you're about to drop the note, something bad happens, and it happened every damn time in this movie, and it was just because it's like, if you're listening to, it's like if you're looking at the movie, you're hearing the music, it's all silent. No one's really talking. There's not a conversation going on or anything like that. And then a note just drops. Someone also is about to drop. It's like someone's about to get shot or something, and you're not gonna see from where it came from. And it happened. And they started doing this like a lot near the end of the movie. And it really ruined a lot of the pacing of how the movie was. And it was like, you had this fantastic action scene going on, and then as soon as the guy takes a breath, grabs a gun, sees that it's loaded, looks around for the next target, and it was like, and then he got shot. And I was like, it was like I'm completely taken away out of this because it's like I saw that coming. I'm hearing. It's like it's now quiet now from him grunting, and then I can hear the music is getting louder. It's getting louder. It's getting louder. He's standing around. It's getting louder. The screen is closing in on his face. It's getting louder. It's getting louder. Yeah, it's over. Yeah, he's dead. I was like, oh boy, I'm taken out of it. And I feel like, from past movies and experiences, people would like to be a hell of a lot more creative when it comes to doing the music and whatnot. Like how certain movies would have like a rap song playing during a fight scene or whatnot to throw you off because you hear this and then it's like, yeah, I'm into the moment. The song helps the vibe of what we got going on. Um, but at the same time, it doesn't really break away or take away anything that's happening. And then it does as soon as the rap song fades out, and then the regular orchestra starts playing again once the action is over with, and then the character starts speaking. So then you know exactly what's up, and then it's like, yeah. Or you could just have the rap song still playing in the background while they're talking, and make this movie a hell of a lot better, you know. But no one thinks like that. And taking a note from what's his name, Zimmerman. He basically the best of the best. He did the music for a lot of top of the line movies. But one of the things that I remember from him, the reason why I do remember him, is that he did Joker's theme song from the Dark Knight movie. And one of his ways of going about it was that he was like, every time he comes onto the screen, it's just so, you're drawn to him. The tension is there. So the idea was like, why don't we just have like a string instrument play on a note that's just basically pulling to the highest tension that you always hear in a movie before it drops and something happens. He was like, and then you just never drop it. And then that's his theme as a slow build of this high tension that never goes away whenever he's on screen. And basically, and one of the genius things that I did is that once the scene changed from the Joker, so not if like something happened that got rid of the tension that was building up with the suspense for Joker. It just, no, this literal scene would change to another scene, thus by changing how the music is supposed to go. So you just were on edge the entire time you saw Joker, like how you were supposed to be, and the music amplified that. And so the fact that he was like, let's just keep that high tension going from start to finish with this guy in whatever scene that he's shown into, and you just keep that building up, and like the music's getting louder, and like it might be quiet, and it's and it held every time, and it amplified and just made it that much more engaging when seeing the Joker, because it's like, God, this guy's just. It's like you're supposed to feel tense with this, and it's like, is anything gonna happen? And it was like, no, he's getting away with it. Jesus Christ! And it's like, so I'm just on edge right now. Thank God that scene's over with. Yeah. So, like, I wish people were more creative like that, because he just kind of got movie orchestras that just really blatantly do the same thing, and this movie had that issue as well, because sometimes when you're listening to the music, it can also pull you in a direction of exactly how this movie is going to turn out, because you can hear it. As soon as like an action scene is going on, and there's dun 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 dun, and then like you see the characters run through a corner or they go through a building, and then just na 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 na, and it's like, well, the action's over with. It's like I'm no longer all right. Like they're fine now. Like they're gonna have a conversation or something, and it's just simple like that. But and then this is why it's such an engaging jump moment where you would have the music be like na 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 or whatever, and then like gunshots will be heard to immediately disrupt what's already known as like a comforting type of moment or whatnot. So that, or when you hear no music at all, to also let you know like what exactly is about to happen, to keep you guessing. Like the shit is important. There's a reason music and stuff is in movies. The shit is important. So Yeah, like that was something that basically also kind of threw off a lot of the points or what they were supposed to be like major story moments within the movie, especially towards the end of the movie, that I felt was like they didn't need to do that. Now, um, something that I would I basically would praise this movie for is Jesus Christ. What was I gonna say? I was just so caught up in the music, the groove. I can't remember. The music was telling me to be something, and then I could not disappoint the music. What is it? What is it? What is it? What is it? It's actually something that I thought was okay, like how their execution of it was. Um, nope, can't remember. Never mind. I guess there was nothing that I liked. Um, well, no, well, something that I did take notice of, and it's like this has nothing to really do with a review of this movie, but this is just on an observational notice of a certain actress, uh, Golshifteh Farahani, like the only female in the movie that mattered, wore a badass dress at the end of the movie when she shot the guy in the bathroom. I felt like that dress was too amazing to be worn inside of a bathroom. She could have waited for him to come out, like she should have, because I was like, when I saw her and she took the shot and everything, I was like, nice dress. I was like, this was a badass dress. It was pretty cool. But to me, she would be a perfect Nico Robin if they were to do a live action One Piece movie. I think she would. She has the look. I'm looking up her name so I can try to pronounce it correctly. Like she has the perfect look. She's the appropriate age. Honestly, Nico Robin stuff that she says is like in a mix of Spanish, English, Italian, and French, and her accent saying those words, I think would be sexy as hell. She would make a perfect Nico Robin. Her look is just it's flawless in comparison to how Nico Robin is supposed to be, as well as her facial features are very similar to Nico Robin. Now you don't know Nico Robin. This is for One Piece. This is me. Um, this is my otaku side coming out. But I feel like this is something people should take notice of. But like yes, because they are trying to make a live action One Piece. But I feel like if they were to do something like that, they should really consider looking her up. She would make a fantastic Nico Robin. One of the major cool things about One Piece is that they're not really uh, racially biased in the series because they don't really have the countries that will dictate or stipulate that you look a certain type of way. Like everyone's from random islands or whatever, so you don't really need to worry about oh like who's playing this, who's playing that, and whatnot. And it's like you might get a gripes about it, but you don't need to. And then considering that One Piece has such a diverse look with their characters, I would say being multicultural with it would benefit One Piece greatly than it would actually hinder it, simply because of the fact that it's such a multicultural type of anime. So I I promise you, look into that. It is something that you really need to do. She was an okay character. Like she really was nothing of a character in this movie. But again, her look, I was like, she'd be perfect for Nico Robin. This movie didn't showcase her acting skills, and there's other things that show that she's done. So she's fantastic. And then in putting an action role and whatnot, you see she held her own. So it's like the cards are there. It's like you got one now to look for the rest. Yeah, just that's just me otakuing it up, just saying something that I feel. But this movie, again, from Extraction, again, is something that it's worth seeing. The action alone makes it worth seeing. The story is nothing to write home about. There's nothing in it that's really any special. Nothing in it that's just like popping out. That's like this is definitely a movie you need to go see because of this. Oh, I finally remembered. The another thing that I really enjoyed and liked about this movie was the showcasing of I believe India. They were in India. They had people speaking Hindi, and I believe like where they were was like a part of India. I believe. That was fantastic. Their showcasing of like their busy streets on the road and how the people would react to what they had going on, I thought was so freaking authentic and nice. Especially for like people who've been there, like you hear stuff about what they say, like how ridiculous their traffic gets in certain areas and how clustered it is in certain places, and basically these people would see stuff happen and they'd just be like, "Hey, get out the way, I gotta go." And so like they could care less, as well as just something happened and they would just be out of like get out of the way or you move or like they know exactly like what's going on and could care less because it's like as long as it's not affecting me, hey, whatever. And to showcase that in their like their busy streets, the culture and how the people were and the housings and everything like that, you don't really get that in movies that depict or try to showcase India. It's more so the well-known cities or like the well-known places, and you see like the upper areas and whatnot. So to actually see um, a a really busy place. It's normally it's like you'll see there are nice places, but it'll be fairly open and not too many people will be around there when they have an abundance of a population there. So to to see like a bunch of people in the streets and everything, riding around and driving around in cars as well as walking everywhere, but at the same time you got these shootouts going on. I thought was incredible. I thought that was nice. That was a nice touch, and it just to me it gave more of a feel towards the city, which in itself was like its own thing as they're like zipping around, kind of had this maze like quality, but it's like if you don't really know where you're going or you know what's going on, like you can get immediately swept up because it's like this, yeah, and I thought it having that feel in the movie was fantastic, so I thought that was pretty cool. Um, Another key factor in watching this movie is that you need to see it with subtitles. Um, I actually like you don't have to. It's really not that important to see this movie in subtitles in order to get the gist. Like if you're watching it and you can't, subtitles don't pop up. Um, what are you talking about, Daniel? On Netflix, they have the options for subtitles. If you're watching this and subtitles don't pop up, then yeah, there's it's not a big deal. They have a lot of lines where people are basically speaking Hindu or other languages in the movie. And there's only like one instance where someone speaking Hindu, and then someone basically is answering them in another language, and then that person speaks to them in that other language, letting them know like I understand, like I'm gonna tell, like I know that too. So what are you saying? And it's like you need to listen to me, and then it's like that. That's literally an only part. It's a small part, but again, not necessary for you to have the subtitles to understand what was going on. The movie itself does perfectly at being able to, because it's so cut and dry, it basically you can look at a scene, not be able to tell what these people are saying, and you just get the gist of it. And it's like, and I actually was able to see it with subtitles. I saw it I saw like a first 20 minutes of it without subtitles, and I was like, this is kind of bothering me, just personally. So then I went and I found and I was able to watch it with subtitles. And then when I was watching it with the subtitles on, I then went back to re-see the scenes where they were speaking in Hindu and everything, and then I was like, what were they saying? And then I was like, was I close? Like, was there like major plot points being said, and I just didn't get it? And no, no, there wasn't. It did not at all. Like, just everything was exactly as I thought it was. It wasn't that big of a deal, too far fetched. Nothing was a major plot driven moment. There's really not that. Yeah, there's no big whatever moments in this movie when spoken in another language, because a lot of the stuff they'll even go back and repeat in English anyway. So then I was like, okay, that's cool on their part, like motivation for certain characters. And he was like, he was gonna kill my family if I didn't save his son. And I was like, oh, okay. It was like, and then you saw earlier that in when they were speaking in Hindu, and it was like that's what he said. And I was like, oh, okay. So then he just went back and repeated it. All right, for Chris Helmsworth, so he now know. And I was like, and now you now know if you didn't have subtitles. So there are moments like that, and I was like, oh, okay. So it's like you don't need to see some subtitles. So if you happen to be watching the movie, and it doesn't have subtitles, just saying, if you just so happen to come across such a version of the movie that's unable to give you subtitles, who knows? Maybe Netflix is messing up or something. And yeah, then yeah, by all means, like you'll be fine. You don't need to have subtitles to watch this movie, so it's perfectly fine. It's okay. It's okay. I don't know why you or how you would be watching it without. So, boy, need a drink or something. So it was a very cut and dry by the books. Um, know exactly was kind of how stuff was gonna play out type of movie, but the action really can't really explain to you how the action is. You know, it's like you kind of gotta see it on your own. But one of my favorite moments is like Chris Helmsworth was like spinning a dude whose legs kick another dude's head back, and it was like, oh yeah, he did. And I was like, okay, and that's like a moment that happens later. And up until that point, I was like, yo, the action has been really good in this movie so far. So I was like, at that point, I was like, oh damn, and woo, I was like, this is really good. So it's okay, it's okay. So with that, I guess it's a good time to end it here. Um, it yeah, I just can't reiterate more. That I would urge someone to go see it. But if I was to give an overall rating for this movie, that's 6 out of 10. It's a 6 out of 10. It's nothing that I personally would like to purchase. The action scenes were nice. It was a good, fun watch, especially when there's nothing really else to do. If you got nothing else better to do, and you just want to see a good um, hour and 30 minute some movie, then like yeah, like this is a good watch. It's a real good watch for that. So yeah, it's best to end it right here. This is all I really got to say about it. I'll probably have more to talk about later. As soon as I do, I'll let you know. So with that, peoples, my name is Danieltheflame. This has been Fun with Flame, and as always, hope you had fun. Also, be sure to check out the original home of the Fun with Flame podcast over at Anchor.fm. I upload there first and far more frequently than I do YouTube. And you should definitely go there to listen to some of my podcasts that are just too hot for YouTube to handle. So check out Anchor.fm for more Fun with Flame content. Be sure to subscribe and click any of the links in the description to see all of the other things that I am associated with, if you just want a little bit more of that Daniel the Flame in your life.